it was this time last year at Thrive that I actually brought this little idea to a session that was Mashup Lab was hosting here to talk with peers about how to possibly expand a movement of folk schools across Nova Scotia and what that could possibly look like. So today I was really excited to hear the expression, "We learn, we teach," from Deb. And it stems for me from, I had read this book a couple of years ago. Robert Putnam wrote a book called Bowling Alone, where he studied the fact that there were while the bowling rates were going up, there were fewer people participating in bowling leagues across North America. And he had this theory that was happening across the board, that we weren't engaging in our communities, we were bowling alone. But that's not what happened in my grandmother's kitchen. I would say half of Hillcrest Street feels like they grew up at her house, and at any moment there would be politicians or Catholic priests or authors or moms or dads sitting at the table sharing stories and talking about their travels. She was a terrible cook, but a really great community host. And I wanted that. I wanted that in my life. I wanted that for my kids. So we bought a house and we said, let's give this a try. And March 2018, we opened up a folk school in our home where we offer free space for anyone in the community to come and teach classes. The facilitators teach at no charge, and the people who come to the classes bring gifted items to barter in exchange for the learning that's happening in the community. We follow the practices of the art of hosting. We are, all our welcome is kind of at the core of our value system, as well anyone who is there, that we host each other and we host ourselves in that process. And we work together to use our privilege to support each other in any way that we can. It was a little thing that became a bit of a big thing. So we offered more than 50 events in my house last year. There were probably at least 600 plus people that came through our space. And we can fill classes in less than 4 minutes right now. And that is actually an unexpected challenge. We tried to expand beyond the classes that we host by way of hosting Maker Swaps, which is a community event where people can come, bring what you can, and take what you need. And we had a message received from one of our attendees saying she had to pull over on the way home because she was crying so hard when she realized that it had been far too long since she had felt a sense of community in her life. And so when this started to get a little bit bigger, we're just like, I need some help. And so we opened up Life Schoolhouse as a cooperative nonprofit. And some of the helping hands, a lot of the helping hands are in this room today. And I really could not have gotten this to this point without additional people contributing to it, and that's the approach that we've used. And some people really understand the bigger picture, where this isn't necessarily about the classes that we're hosting. It's so much more so about having positive impact on the mental health implications of social isolation in our communities. Because when people actually are invested in the well-being of others in their community, we are just all that much better off. So this was a little, fun thing to do at Christmas. I started writing down, what is the trick? What's the secret sauce here? And these are guidebooks that we offer to anybody in Nova Scotia right now who is interested in hosting folk schools in their home to give this a try. We wrote down what works and what did not work at all. And this is kind of an offering that we put into the commons so that anybody can have access to these resources. The thing is that some people took us up on that offer. And it's fun when you're like the crazy guy standing and dancing on the side of the hill and then someone comes and dances with you. This is Maureen and she's right there. And she's opened up her home in the Annapolis Valley, and she was one of our early adopters of this program for sure. And I can't say how much I appreciate having somebody dancing beside me. We actually have 12 different venues in Nova Scotia right now where people are offering space in community centers and in their houses and wherever they can, where they're just holding their community together by way of, under the banner of coming together to learn, they're really just standing there together. To be fair, it's not a new idea. Super not new. 150 years ago, the modern folk school movement was born in Denmark. And people who have been inspired by that include Martin Luther King, who came back, took that information and built the Highlander Folk School. And we saw that in the Antigonish movement as well. Father Jimmy Tompkins brought this back and converted an entire economy around coal mining towns back to cooperative banking. So we've been invited to speak at the International Folk School Summit in Denmark in September. They said, hey, love what you're doing. Can you come and tell us more about it? So that, they're trying to establish an international folk school alliance where there's an understanding of where these things are happening. We're speaking, the Highlander Folk School will be there as well, and the interesting thing about it is that ours is the only barter-based, community-centered folk school anywhere in North America, and possibly the only one that they've found in the world. So this is Nova Scotian hospitality being exported to the rest of the world. They want to know what we're doing, and they want to know how it's working. Thing is, I don't know yet, because we've been so busy doing the things and meeting the people, we haven't written down enough of the story. So we really have to kind of figure out before the end of September and put a little bow on this, how it is that we're going to share this with the rest of the world. So we're actually seeking partnership, because we're at a point now where we can't do it without that kind of help. We need to develop the actual model. So for those developmental evaluators in the room, if you're looking for a volunteer opportunity, we need to figure out kind of what the model is, but we also need to provide learning opportunities, like we have many of the hosts that are in this room here today. The graciousness for which they are doing this project needs to be rewarded with some sort of support by way of training and things like that. And I'm trying to make sure that they don't try and do 50 workshops in a year with a full-time job and 2 kids. So I'm making the rounds now to try and find partners that can help support the work that Jessie and Jodine and Maureen and Tara and everyone is doing all over the province to start up sessions like this in Lockport, in fact. And there are a lot of different things that will make this that much more successful. We need to be able to tell this story. And the storytelling component is a big part of that, but also hosting, the art of hosting, the act of hosting each other in our communities is often women's work, and as usual, it's something that's unvalued or undervalued and uncompensated. It might be hard to see this from the back of the room, but it's super not hard for me to envision. This is a painting of what could be in a utopia, a village where there's community radios and there's trade schools and there's barter clubs and there are makers workshops and study centers and food co-ops. This is the vision that I have for Nova Scotia, and I would love to speak with you more about it over the next couple of days. Thank you.